guys, welcome back to the Nourishing Roots channel, where I'll be showing you how to love food, adore your body and become your authentic self. In this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about trusting your body. This is important because I think during eating disorder recovery or developing a positive relationship with food and our bodies, we're often taught not to trust our bodies, and it can feel very uncomfortable when you're in a situation of gaining weight or just trying to trust how your body feels rather than the way it looks in the mirror. So let's get going with this topic. Firstly, I'd just like to say that in our society, we're taught day after day that we shouldn't trust our bodies. We're taught that we should count calories, track our steps, that we should follow a meal plan, or that we should follow some strict regime, because otherwise our bodies would just fly off the handle and go out of control. And you know what? That's simply not true. Even though for years I really trusted in the fact that if I followed a rigid calorie count or a rigid meal plan or a rigid fitness regime, then I'd be happy, I'd be healthy, and that my body would become more in control. However, ironically, the more I did that, the more I felt out of control because I became so obsessed with numbers, calories, and just about anything that was related to health and my body. I'd actually learned to not trust myself at all, and I'd placed trust in numbers rather than my amazing body that had evolved over millions of years and could already pretty much function on its own just if I listened to it a little bit more. So on a second note, I'd just like to say that we can trust our bodies. Even if we're going through eating disorder recovery and things feel really difficult in terms of feeling, that your body weight's going out of control, you're gaining weight, or you feel uncomfortable in your own skin, that actually that's our body's way of telling us that it's just trying to get to a place where it feels safe again, where it can function optimally at its set point. Now, everybody has a set point, whether that's weight or the way that our body fluctuates and regulates itself and its natural rhythms. But when we try to control our bodies from a psychological way or from what someone else says, then that takes us away from our natural rhythms and our natural set points which our bodies function optimally at. So this can lead to many negative health problems because it can feel as though we're going against the flow that we're meant to. So from a bit of personal experience, I can just say that when I try to rigidly control my body, I felt so uncomfortable. My mind was always so focused on my next meal, my next exercise plan, and the next something that I could use to control my body, because I just wasn't ready to trust the way that it functioned. I didn't want to listen to my natural hunger signals, and I just brushed them aside because I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to listen to those natural urges, and even those urges just to rest, just to indulge in my creativity, or even to just go out with friends. I actually felt guilty for indulging in any of those urges because I felt I needed to stick to this really structured plan, and that would make me a good person. But again, we all know that that way of living is so false and fallible, and that we really shouldn't aim to do that at all. The real aim is to learn to flow with the natural ebbs of our body, because that's what we've evolved to do. No human being has actually evolved to follow any structured form of rigid plan, because when in real life would that actually happen? Never. It's just over the recent years that the diet and fitness industry and the medical industry has exploited many of us to try and make us think that we need some kind of structure in order to be happy and live a successful and fulfilled life. But getting on another point, we know that that's not true now. So what can we do to trust our bodies even more, so we can learn to gain weight in a positive way if we're recovering from an eating disorder, or just simply learn to trust our natural hunger signals? Well, firstly, a key point is to relax. Yeah, just relax and just listen. To listen and relax simply means to trust in the fact that when you feel hunger, even if you've just had a meal or you ate not long ago, or you feel like you've already nourished yourself, that hunger might be telling you something a little bit more than it appears. It might not be telling you that you need to meet your energy requirements. It might mean that you're still trying to recover from a nutritional deficiency, or that you need to nourish a psychological need. I talked about this in a previous video, but sometimes we need to nourish our psychological needs with food, whether that be socially, emotionally, or culturally. So if that means eating chips along a beach or going out with your friends for cake over a coffee and a good cup of tea, then by all means indulge in that and enjoy the fact that that means trusting your body too. Because again, we're all so complex beings. We're really not meant to follow anything too structured. Life is more fun when we learn to trust that we can socialise and culturalise ourselves with food and the enjoyment that that brings us every single day. Another point that I'd like to say is to trust that sometimes our body might feel uncomfortable when gaining weight or trying to stay at a so-called healthy weight. Sometimes our body has a set point that we're not comfortable with, and that might be over a BMI that's deemed as healthy by society or the medical industry. So for example, some people might overreach a BMI of 25, but yet their actual body is saying, I'm going to feel more comfortable when I'm over a BMI of 25 because that's me and that's the way we function optimally at our best. So how can you learn to live with that healthily? Well, the first key point is to say, again, relax with the way your body feels as it's gaining weight if you need to do that, because it's our body's way of saying, I need to feel safe right now. And even if you do reach over a certain healthy weight, sometimes your body might need to do that just so it can regain its functions again, such as periods or optimal hormone function, or just its general way of thinking and feeling that I'm okay right now and I'm not at risk of starvation, especially if you suffered from a restrictive eating disorder like anorexia or orthorexia, where for a long time you've been so obsessed with healthy eating. On a similar note, I'd like to say that gaining weight in recovery is a really positive thing, even though sometimes it can feel awful and uncomfortable, as though you want to pinch your skin and feel like it's horrible. But in reality, it's your body's way of saying that I love you and that it needs you to feel well and healthy so that you can trust your real meaning in life, which is far beyond any form of following a rigid meal plan or food regime or anything else. Your body just tries to sing to you every day to try and make you get back in harmony with its real natural rhythms. So the more that you listen, even though sometimes it can go against your so-called thoughts that have been ingrained in us by what society has said, or your eating disorder thoughts, just trust in the fact that your body is very, very clever and that it just wants you to get to a healthy place so that ultimately you can reach your full potential as a human being. So on a final note, I'd just like to say, try to trust our bodies more, because that trust signal just means love. And that the more that you learn to trust, the more that your body can love you and that you can learn to love life too. So if you found this video helpful, or that you'd like to comment of anything that I've said, then that would be great if you could subscribe to this video, subscribe to this channel, and I'd love to create more things like this because it makes me really happy. It's really cathartic for me, and I'd love to hear more things from people like you who might be somewhere, anywhere in the world, gaining some benefit or gaining some new insight into a world that tells us that we shouldn't love ourselves the way that we are now. So on that note, I'd like to say goodbye, have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye!